Hey there, thanks for stopping by my channel to color. Today we're going to be coloring this adorable Whimsy Stamps image called Fleece Navidad. This is a card kit, so I'll put a link to that and all the supplies I used down in the description box. I really appreciate you shopping with me, it really helps me out. I stamped my image with some Memento Tuxedo Black ink on Neenah 80-pound Solar White cardstock, and I'm going to color him up with some Copic markers. If you'd like to have a list of all the Copics I used today on this card, you could head over to the store blog, and there's a link to the post down in the description box. And at the bottom of the post there is a pin card. The pin card is great because you can use it to, you can pin it to your pinner's board, and then later on when you're searching for some color that you'd like to try out or you'd like to use, you can just flip through the pin board and be like, oh, I want to try that one out. And it's kind of, I always try to keep the animal ones in there for sure because a lot of times it's hard to pick colors for animals, and I like to see other people's examples so that I can see what they're doing. So I just did a quick outline there around the sheep with some C0 so that it would pop up a little bit. And I always try to do the outlining first because I'm afraid I will touch some of the colors I have colored on my image and I'll pull them out into the background. Especially that hat, I'm going to color it red, so I know for sure when I go around the outline that I would pull some of that red out in the background and then I'd have just a big mess. So for me it's easier to go ahead and do the outlining first and then we don't have to worry. And then I'm going to do here, I'm going to do my V20, and I'm just going around in all the darker places on my sheep to add some shadows. And then I'm going to go in with V20, W2, W1, W00, E50, and R00 to add some dots onto my sheep there. I don't want to cover the whole thing up because sheep are supposedly white, even though most of the ones I see out in the field look like they've rolled in dirt. But I guess if they got a bath, they'd probably be white and very pretty. So I'm just using my marker to do some dots. When you're doing the dotting method, you want to do it quickly. Don't just mess around because the minute the end of your pin touches the paper, it's soaking up ink. So the longer your pin stands there, the larger the dots will be. So if you want small dots, do it quick. If you want larger dots, leave it set just a second more. But do not just mush it down on there because it's going to make this huge, huge dots, and that's not what you're going to want. So I did the W2 first in all the shadow areas. So wherever I had the V20, I went in and I just added W2 dots next to that and over the top of it. And now I'm going over with my W1 and I'm adding dots over the top of the V20, the W2, and then I'm adding a few out into my white space. I'm trying to leave most of it white as possible, but you want to have a few dots out here on the outside. After I get done with this one, we're going to go in with the W0. You also want to do, there's that huge white space there in the middle of the sheep. I tried to go ahead and add a few little dots in there just so it doesn't look like it's just a big white patch. You still want to have a few little spots of color in there. And then I thought this E50 would work out perfect for this sheep because it adds a little bit of kind of like a cream color so he's not quite so white. And in the R20, or the R00 there, I'm adding up next to the hat because I feel that the hat would be casting a little bit of a shadow onto his back. So I just put a few little dots of the R20 on there to make it have a little bit of a reddish tint. Not too much, but just a few. Here we're going to do his face, and I'm going to go around here on the side, but I want the whole middle to be white, so we're not going to add too much color onto him. Finish that up with some W0. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our colorless blender and we're going to, we're going to do the cheek color first. So we'll do some R20 and then some R30, and then we're going to do our colorless blender. Now get out the colorless blender, Heather. So with our colorless blender, I'm just swiping over the entire sheep. I'm trying not to get out to where our outline is because I don't want to mess that up. But if you go over the whole thing, it just kind of gets it wet and it smushes all those colors together. Then I decided my sheep needed a few more pink dots, so I'm just going in and dotting a little bit of the 20 and the R20 and the R30 up and down on his little face there. Then we're going to do his hooves and his nose with W8 and 5, and we're not doing anything fancy because there's not much room there. We're just going to add a little bit of your W8, and then we'll fill it in with our W5. Quick and easy, nothing too fancy. I think this sheep turned out really cute. So also, when we get to the end of the video, I did put this card together. If you want to see me putting the card together, you can hop on over and watch the real-time video, and it will be towards the end of that video, and you can watch all the process of putting it together if you're interested in that. So now we're going to do the same thing as we did with our sheep, only we're going to add some dots onto our hat and our little pom-pom there. make it look like it's got some furry texture. You could also, instead of coloring it, you could do some liquid applique on there and make it puff up, that's some of that puffy paint stuff. Or you could put some stickles on there. Or I have this other stuff that's like crafty fluff stuff that you could put some glue on and then tap that down on there, and then it would make it look like fur. So either or, but this time we're just going to color it in, and then like the sheep, I went over it with my colorless blender to smush all the dots together. And then we're going to do the leaves. So for the leaves, we're going to, I'm just kind of going like some pine branches and flicking some color away from that center line on each side. And I find that it works, a little flicking for that part worked better if I held my pen more straight up and down and not flat. So I was using just the tip of the brush instead of the side. And then with the R43, I'm just going over the top of all those colors and filling it in. And you want to be careful going into those little points because they're pretty small and they take up hardly any room at all. And then I'm just going to go back here and darken it up with my G28 again and add a few more of those little flicks back in there so they look like the leaves are popping up. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that cute little bell. So for the little bell, we're going to use those 3 colors. And I'm just going to outline the whole bell with my Y26. I left the center thing for the last color, and I found out after I was coloring it that I actually, on the instructions or when I was coloring it in there, get your head out of the way, Heather, I used Y06 instead of the Y08 I'm using here. But I was already coloring it, so I didn't go grab it. So you can use either or for your bell, use Y06 or Y08. It doesn't matter which one, they're both a really bright yellow color and they'll both work perfectly. So also when I got done coloring my sheep, I went ahead and I put some Wink of Stella clear brush sparkles on there just to make it a lot shimmier. Or there's a word for you, shimmier, shinier. It's a lot shinier. So I do about 2 or 3 coats on that to make it extra bright. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to finish up our little sheep here with our hat. We're going to do the collar in the hat. And I'm just adding a little bit of my R89. You don't want to use a bunch of that because it's really dark and it's not going to go, you don't want it to blob all over your hat. I also find that when I do my R29, I don't know what it is, but mine tends to be a little bit shiny, especially when I'm shooting videos. I think it's just because it's hot in here and it dries so fast. But if yours is shiny when you get done using it, leave me a comment down below because I'd like to take a survey on that to see how many have problems with this R29. And I have replaced mine and I have refilled it, so each one I've used, they all do the same thing. So I don't know if it's just the ink and the marker or what. But it just causes me grief. Alright, so we're going to finish up our reds here, and then I decided that it was going to need a second coat because I'm not really loving the center part there, so I thought I'd just go over it a second time to smooth it out. I'm going to skip the R89 and just go straight from R29, but I'm going to use that sparingly and just do another coat of every color. So I hope you had fun coloring today. If you have a question, leave me a comment down below and I will make sure to get back to you. Don't forget to hit the like button if you liked the video. I would really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that and hit the little bell next to it so you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. If you stay tuned to the end of the video, there will be a couple of suggestions of videos that I thought you might be interested in. Otherwise, I hope you're having a fabulous day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!